If you are a fan of 21 Pilots, and more specifically, if you are a fan of the lore which 21 Pilots built around their music, you know what I'm talking about, the dema lore, the Trench saga, and all of that, then chances are you will also appreciate and probably find yourself to be a fan of this band entitled Jady, and specifically the latest music video which they released today for their song Echo Chamber. Let's take a look. For those of you who don't know, Jady recently released a full-length album entitled Silver, and when I say recently, I actually mean back in October, because my goodness does time fly. But on this album, entitled Silver, was a track called Echo Chamber, and this was not a song which they released as a single ahead of the release of the full-length album. They did that for a couple of their songs, Fragile, Shed My Skin, a White Casket, and Tell Me Something I Don't Know. I think that was all of them. Although technically, if you're going to get particular, The Veil and Torn kind of were pre-released as well as part of a teaser video, but that's a different story. So this song, Echo Chamber, is more of what you might call a sleeper single, something like Chlorine or The Hype off of 21 Pilots' Trench. A song which wasn't originally released as a single, but did very well once the album was released and has kind of become one of their most popular songs off of the album. Certainly the most popular non-single off of the album. And so today, they finally released a 6-minute music video to accompany the song. Now, the reason I emphasize that it is 6 minutes long is because the song itself is only about 3 minutes. So that should tell you right off the bat that there's a lot more going on in this video than just a music video for the song. There's a story that they are telling around this, in a style similar to a music video for The Outside or City Walls, for instance. There's more to this video than just them playing the music. And it's also worth mentioning here that if you recognize the name of this band, but you're not already a fan of them, it may be because I mentioned them in a video back in September, which I laid out 3 different artists that you should check out if you're a fan of 21 Pilots. And that still stands. In fact, I think it might be even truer today, given the album they released and the music videos that have accompanied it and the story and so on that accompanies all of that. There's a lot of lore that they are building out. And if you're a fan of this channel, it's probably because you like music accompanied by lore. Specifically 21 Pilots, but if you like the style of music and you like that style of story, this probably is for you. Anyway, enough preamble. If I haven't sold you enough on it already, you're probably not watching this video anymore, and if I have, you're probably bored of me talking about it. Let's just take a look at the music video, because there's some fantastic stuff to be found within this, and some really interesting developments to the story. Okay, so true story here. I started watching this music video on my computer, and the second it opened with this shot, with the scene, I realized I probably shouldn't be watching it on my computer. So I got up, I reset up my surround sound system, I dusted off my TV, and sat down in front of the biggest screen I have in my house with the best sound. And it was a fantastic experience. Now, that's not to say you can't appreciate or enjoy the music video without any of that, of course not. But it really speaks to how wonderful the sound design was on this, and how amazing the cinematography and look of this video are, just right off the bat. Story and music aside, it looks and sounds fantastic. So I really should give a shout out here to Connor Dean Harrington, who's their cinematographer, their editor, and also I believe for this music video, maybe there are others as well, their sound mixer. Great work once again. In fact, I think sound design wise, this may be their best video. Obviously with the other music videos, they didn't always have these little aspects to them, the story at the beginning and the end and so on. Man, the editing in this is just fantastic. Wonderful editing. And one of the things that this opening does very well is situate us in the story. It shows us right away where we are and what's going on. Now, this is partly helped by the fact that I have been paying attention to the lore for the past couple of months, and even, years beyond that, but especially what's been rolled out over the past couple of months, and sort of paying attention to where they are at in the story or trying to figure it out. But this very much shows us through a series of kind of flashbacks and so on, that those specific moments from the album trailer, which I discussed in a previous video on this channel, so you can check that out for more context if you want. Some of those shots from that trailer came before the events of this music video. And then other things, as we'll see, are sort of played out or expanded upon in this music video. So this shot, for instance, was something that was in the album trailer. It being in black and white further reinforces the idea that it's part of a flashback, but it also combined with some of the broadcast interceptions that we got on Silver Screen Broadcasting over the past couple weeks, reinforces this idea, or kind of confirms this idea, that the two band members are on the run from Ophelia, from Ted Silver, from this whole a world that they found themselves trapped in, the world of the haze, I suppose, that they found themselves trapped in and are trying to escape. And at this point, they're hiding, and as we'll see in a minute, the harvesters, the ones who have been sent to track them down, to hunt them down, have caught up with them.
I can't sleep at night. The loaded guns are in my head.
So then right as they catch up to them, we hear this song start playing. And this is really curious because this is not a song which, unless I'm going crazy, has been previously released. And I think this is probably part of what they were teasing with those letters on the sort of teasers and announcements for this music video. They know we're better dead. And so I'm wondering if this is going to be maybe a bonus track off of Silver, or just another single that's on the way. But it sounds fantastic. I wish they'd played more of it.
They know we're better dead.
So now we're finally starting to get some kind of explanation for the white casket. What that is, what that symbolizes. Now that's on the cover of the album Silver. And it's also, there's a song on the album called White Casket. And I think also when they were playing, they now have a white casket on the front of the stage that opens, and that's how they come out onto the stage. It's a main centerpiece of their performances right now. Wonderful camera work. Great shot. Very Nolan-esque, right? The behind, the angle from behind. Like this shot in particular. The look of it reminds me of something like Tenet. So I've been curious, Connor Dean Harrington, if you ever see this video, if you're inspired by the work of Nolan at all for this. So it seems like entering the white casket takes you into the echo chamber. And as we'll see in a second, it also seems like these echo chambers are specific to each person. You don't all go into the same echo chamber. It is dependent on you specifically as an individual, what you find within the echo chamber. So here we see that Ashton, the drummer, kind of finds himself in this underground like music venue. And Jarrett, as we'll see played out a bit more, finds himself in this hallway full of doors leading into different rooms. And there's the ghost man once again telling him to go into this particular room. Great looking music video so far. Very interesting, very fantastic. What is this place? Right, that's my biggest question. And after watching the video a couple times, I haven't really been able to figure it out. Maybe it doesn't have a huge impact on the story, but I am curious to know what the significance is of sort of a stone tunnel into a stone archway, besides the fact that it looks cool, right? But in the middle of the forest, is it supposed to be reminiscent of like a mausoleum or something like that? But this setting very much reminds me of the house, the sort of mansion that they used in Napalm in the music video for Ghost Man. And certainly this shot right here is very reminiscent of Wallow and Ghost Man and really the themes within Napalm as a whole. Okay, so here's a shot, which I don't know if we got this specific shot in the trailer, but certainly the setting and the look is something that we saw in the album trailer. It's interesting that it's playing here because I always thought this was going to be a shot of them escaping, and certainly something which would have come before the moment where they are now, right? They ran away from Ophelia before this, and then they've been recaptured and are now being punished. Essentially, they're being thrown into the white casket, and as we'll see later, it's very concerning what's happening to them. So I very much thought this shot was going to be something that would take place before. But perhaps it's almost an indication that even when, or something that Ophelia is trying to kind of put in their mind, that even when they try to run, and when I say Ophelia, probably like Ted Silver, right, is behind all of this. When they run away, they're still stuck in this echo chamber, right? Because this does seem to be part of those shots within the echo chamber. This is a fantastic shot. Very cool room. Ashton really seems to just be in one specific location for his echo chamber. And Jarrett is much more being thrown from room to room and from place to place, perhaps even looking for an escape again and again and just not being able to find one. Okay, so now we're back outside and the harvesters are hooking things up to the white casket and starting to harvest from them. And this is where we start to learn more about the rose-colored lenses and how this was a question that I had earlier this week when I made a video talking about the broadcast interceptions and the trailer for this, and then what we had seen from the album trailer and the teasers leading up to it. My question was, what do the harvesters harvest? And what is it that they use to make the rose-colored lenses. Because there's a little video featurette about the harvesters and the fact that they harvest the serum that goes into the rose-colored lenses. And now we're actually getting shown how that happens. And as I suspected and guessed, it's not the most uplifting. You know, they're trapping these escapees in a white casket and then pulling this serum out of them to then use in the rose-colored lenses. And I think there's more to it than that, right? That's practically speaking what's happening. I think there's a broader implication of that, or a broader message behind that I'm still trying to grasp hold of, but I know is there. The rose-colored lenses are used to invert your reality and to make you think that things are all bright and shiny and happy, even when they're not. They present you with a false, optimistic reality that blocks out sort of the darkness and all of that. One thing that could be happening here is they're kind of reliving, or at least Jared, again, I'm a little unsure what's going on with Ashton, but at least Jared could be living through some dark moments of his life, right? He could be stepping into these different rooms that have these different dark moments, and so they take that somehow, they extract something from that moment to go into the serum so that other dark moments can be blocked out by the serum, if that makes sense. I have no idea if that's going to make sense to me next week when I think about this more. So one thing that's interesting is that this room seems to be connected directly to the front door. But that's not sort of how he got in, right? It could be how he's trying to get out, or it is how he's trying to get out, but you know, what's going on there? Where did that location change take place? This is a fantastic shot. The echo chamber becomes an echo chamber of itself, right? Look at it. That's great. I love that. Not much more to say about it, but I love it. And then at the end, he just gives up, stops trying to make it out. So overall, fantastic music video, great work. And I'm left just trying to understand and wondering, like, what does this mean next? Because it seems like they got caught, right? They tried to escape, they got caught, they're brought back. You know, has this affected their mind state somehow, right? Jarrett doesn't look dead, but he's given up trying to escape. So maybe they're doing something as part of this process that removes their desire to escape and puts them back under the sway of the rose-colored lenses. My initial thought, and still largely is my thought, that they're trying to extract the serum for the rose-colored lenses. That's why the harvesters are there, not some kind of doctor. But it could also be true that they're putting the same material that's in the rose-colored lenses into the air around them to affect them in that same way, and to put them back under the sway of the rose-colored lenses and back under the sway of Ted Silver and the Silver Enterprise and all of that. Some questions were answered by this video. Many more questions have been raised. It is something which I'm going to keep thinking about. Maybe in a couple weeks I will have more to say on it. I certainly, as I teased earlier this week, I'm looking at doing some more videos, diving more into this lore. Let me know in the comments if you had other interpretations of what's going on here. Especially let me know what your favorite moment or shot was from the video. It is fantastic. Again, huge shout out to Connor Dean Harrington. Huge shout out to Jady Music for this fantastic song. Go watch it. Go watch the music video. There'll be a link in the description. There'll be a link on screen. Go watch this music video. This has proved once again that Jady is an extremely underrated band and deserve to be much bigger than they actually are currently. But they are growing. Certainly are growing. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more music commentary and reviews. I'll see you in the next video.